Hi everyone, my name is Fiona and I'm one of the educators here at the Sandia Mountain Natural History Center. And today I have standing next to me a Ponderosa pine tree. If you've been up in the Sandia Mountains, you've probably seen these if you were anywhere from about 7,000 feet up 1,000 feet or more on the mountain. They are one of the common species. You'll recognize them by their orange bark a lot of times, which they will only get once they're about 75 years old. However, that's just an estimation. What if we want to know exactly how old this tree is? What can we do to find out the age of a tree? Any ideas? Yeah, if you were thinking of cutting one down and looking at the stump and counting the rings, that is correct. However, what if we don't want to kill this tree? It's a great, big, healthy Ponderosa pine. So I have here with me today a tool. It's called an increment borer, and it's used by foresters to be able to drill into one little spot on the tree and pull out a sample. And I'm going to show you today how that's done. So there's a couple parts to this tool. This is the drill part, and then this is the handle. I'm going to insert the drill into the handle and secure it. And then I'll pick a nice spot on the tree, usually between the bark a little bit. Now, there's no motor to this. It's not a power drill. It's just my own weight and force. So hopefully I'm strong enough for this, right? So luckily it's going in pretty easily through the bark. And a lot of people ask me when I demonstrate this, does it hurt the tree? But it would be kind of like if you go to the doctor and get a shot. It could hurt a little bit and it might make the tree bleed, as in release some sap. The sap might ooze to this spot in a little while. But it won't be causing any permanent damage to the tree. And it would be similar to if a bark beetle put a hole in the tree, or a woodpecker was poking a hole looking for insects. Now I drill it to about halfway. The idea would be to get to the center of the tree so that you could see that you had gotten all the way through the rings on one side. Sometimes I'll do a little extra just to make sure I get to that center, especially because this is a pretty big tree. All right, we should be good. Now I'm going to use this long spoon-like tool to pull the wood sample out from inside the tree. So I'm putting it in this little hole in the middle of the drill. And then I will go back a little bit so it doesn't get stuck. And ta-da! Look at that. So this is a nice sample here. It is a little bit wet. It smells good. Have you ever smelled fresh pine sap? That's what it smells like. So I was able to get to the center of the tree, and I know it because there's a circle there. It goes in a complete circle. And then on the outside of that is the rings. And now I want to look closely at it, at the rings on it. Now, do you know why a tree makes rings? Well, it has to do with its growth. So it'll make the light lines when it's growing a lot. So in the spring when there's rain, or in monsoon season in July into August and September when there's a lot of water coming down in those big monsoon rains. The tree will soak up that water through its roots and it will grow quicker because it's making more food for itself using photosynthesis. And at those times, it'll make these lighter colored lines. Now it looks like, looking closely at these tree rings, that this tree actually has some pretty big growth lines, some pretty wide, lighter colored lines. And that tells me that it had a lot of growth in certain years. So it might have lived through some pretty wet years, and it got a lot of rain at this particular location that it's at. And the darker lines on the tree, or on the sample that I have here, those are caused when the tree is slowing down its growth. So in the fall, maybe, when it's getting colder, there's not as much water, or in the heat in the middle of summer when there's not a lot of water, it might slow its growth and then create the dark line. Now, listening to what I just said, you might have noticed that there can actually be more than one time in the year where a tree grows a lot and then slows down growth in the summer. So it might grow a lot in the spring, slow down growth in the summer, grow a lot in monsoon season, and then slow down growth again in the fall, which would mean that you would have 2 light lines and 2 dark lines. So it's possible a tree could create multiple rings in a year. So as you can see, you can learn a lot about a tree and its environment by looking closely at its rings. So now I challenge you to go outside your home, look around for a cut tree stump, since you don't have an increment borer and they can be a little expensive. And then look very closely at the tree rings. If you have a magnifying glass, great, bring that with you. Try to count how many sets of lines you see, how many dark and light lines you see, to get an idea of how old the tree you're looking at was when it was cut down. And then another step you could take is bring out a journal and a pencil and draw a picture of it. Draw the lines. You can then actually label the lines. You could put in the years. You could count back from its outermost line, which is its most recent before it was cut down, and then count back and figure out what year each line represents. And then if you want, you could write in things that happened in those years, either things in your own life, in your family's life, or historical events that you've researched or known about. Thank you for joining me on this trailside stop today here at the Sandia Mountain Natural History Center. And thank you to this Ponderosa pine tree for letting us take a sample of wood from it and find out how old it might be.